Hey everybody, welcome to another round of Canje Plays, and today we're going to get into one of my top favorite games of all time, which is Eldritch Horror. We're going to be playing through a very long series that's going to be recording. What I plan to do is to do one round is an episode, and we'll just go through the different episodes as we build this out. Only reason why is that this is a long running game. I want to make sure that I try to play it as rules accurate as I can. There will be changes that are going to be coming in terms of dice rolling, homebrewing, that type of thing that we're going to go through to talk about how this works. So usually what you have on here is a 5 or a 6, which is the Cthulhu little elder thingy token. The Cthulhu item is what's considered a success. So this is kind of, to me, an older antiquated system of doing things where you have just kind of a 2 in 6 chance of succeeding. What I've done in the interim is basically say 4s are partial successes. What does that mean? Well, we already realize that a 5 and a 6 is a success. So if you roll those, no matter what you do, you get a success. But 1, 2, 3, and 4 are basically just straight up failures, right? And that type of odds, especially with me with dice rolling for people who know me, don't really work for me. So what I've done to kind of even things out or make them a little bit more tenable is I've taken the 4s and make them partial successes. And what that means is that for every pair of 4s, that counts as one success. So this is a half and this is a half of a success. So that makes it a pair of successes. So you will need at least 2 4s to have one success. And then if you have a third 4, which is a half, that just kind of falls away because there's no matching point to it. What that does is it now makes 1s to 3s straight fails, and you have a potential chance of rolling, at least some successes, so it gives it away at that. I've added this into other games like Gloom of Kilforth, and some other games that I've been playing, and it works out pretty well. It updates the system as I see that this fail dynamic here of this is an antiquated system that just needs to go away. But this now allows it to be, there's still a high chance of failure there, but we put it, because even if I roll a 4 and it's just 1 4, it's still a fail. So there's still a high chance of failure, but at least there's a reprieve of some sort of success built onto it. So hopefully that helps. Anyway, we'll be diving into this. I'll be going up against each great old one. We're going to start with Cthulhu. I'm going to go from health, the lowest health, all the way up to the highest. So Cthulhu's 12. And we'll be adding in the expansions as we go and building up different things, and just have the investigators, I just randomly pull for them and just have what I use for them. All right. So without further ado, let's dive in. I hope you really enjoy this series as it goes forward. I plan to take it all the way to its completion, win or lose, and we'll see how that shakes up. But thank you very much. I just want to say thanks to my patrons, the subscribers, and if you're neither of those, you just tune in because, I happen to pop up or there's something relevant that you're seeing that I'm doing that you enjoy, and you just coming in to hang out. I appreciate that. Thank you and welcome as well. I'll put the link to the description. I know I always get asked about these card trays. I'll put the link to that as well as the new tokens that I'll be using for the investigators. I'll put the link to the Etsy page that sells these, so if you're interested in getting them, you can as well. I'll be using some different dice because, as you can see on here, sure, you can see the gold, but I want them to really shine through, and I have some really nice dice that'll go along with that. That'll showcase really nicely on stream, and those are dice that come from Fantasy Flight Games, but I'll put a link to those in the description as well. Until then, yeah, I think that this is a good intro. So this specific episode is going to be introducing the investigators that I'll be going on and talking about kind of Cthulhu and the Great Old One that we'll be getting into. So let's go ahead and meet our investigators. Ever since she was a child, Mandy would read when she could not sleep. Such has been the case on many nights. Her remarkable memory and ability to correlate facts have made her a highly sought-after researcher around the world. Over time, her work has required her to read strange occult texts. These bizarre tomes have slowly caused her to suspect that an ancient being will rise to destroy humanity. Recently, the scrolls she has been reading in Shanghai have made it clear that the world is in imminent danger. Mandy Thompson will be one of our starting investigators. She is the researcher. She has an action that says Draw 2 clues from the clue pool, spawn one of them, and discard the other. After resolving a research encounter, if you gained exactly 1 clue from that encounter, you get to gain an additional clue. She starts with 5 health and 7 sanity, and her lore is 3, her influence is 3, her observation is 4. Her strength is 1, so she's not strong, and her willpower is 2. So she starts off with some starting equipment. Her first starting equipment is this wonderful unique asset that's called Know Thy Enemy. This is a task. Whenever you gain a clue during a research encounter, place 1 Eldritch token on this card. Then you may flip this card. So if I do a research encounter and I gain a clue from it, then I get to put an Eldritch token on there and see what happens when we flip it over. Her other item that she's starting with is the magnifying glass. So as a trinket, it says once per round, you or another investigator on your space may spend 1 clue to reroll any number of dice when resolving a test. Usually you spend 1 clue for 1 die roll. This one is any number of dice, so that boosts spending a clue, so clue gain on her will be really great. But our first starting investigator is Mandy Thompson. Our next investigator is going to be Kate Winthrop, the scientist. Quiet and resourceful, Kate Winthrop has been obsessed with studying dimensional instability ever since her friend and mentor, Professor Young, was devoured by a beast from another world. Following a peculiar dream and a string of mysterious disappearances, Kate has gone to the University of Buenos Aires to continue her research. Now that preliminary testing has been completed on her flux stabilizer, Kate is no longer content to sit idly by. She is determined to seek revenge for the death of her colleague. Alright, so Kate Winthrop, the scientist, her action: if you are on a space containing a gate, discard 1 monster on your space with toughness less than your observation. So just getting rid of them as an action if she's on a space containing a gate. And her observation's 4, so any one monster whose toughness level is less than 4 gets discarded as an action. If a gate would spawn on your space, discard that gate and gain 1 clue instead as just what happens. And that's not even an action, that's just what she gets. She's amazing. Her health is 5, her sanity is 7, her lore is 3, influence 2, observation 4, strength 2, and willpower 2. Her starting equipment is dimensional study. Once per round, when a gate is closed or discarded, you may spend 1 clue to place 1 clue on this card. Then you may flip this card. She also gains 1 clue to start as she's doing her research, and that's where she'll begin. Kate Winthrop, our next investigator. Wilson's a practical man. He goes where there's work. When it's gone, he moves on. Wilson finds that offering an honest deal gets him treated honestly, but still he took a job rebuilding a church in Arkham. He's had a hard time being honest with himself. People are being torn from their homes at night. Things that used to hide in the deepest pits of the earth have crawled to the surface. He cannot unsee all the things he's seen, but he can get to work on fixing the problem. Wilson Richards is going to be our next investigator, the handyman. As an action, gain 1 asset of your choice with a value 1 from the reserve, or discard 1 card from the reserve and perform 1 additional action. When you or another investigator on your space spends a focus to re-roll a die, that investigator may re-roll up to 2 dice instead. Wilson's wonderful health is 8, but his sanity is 4. His lore is 1, influence 3, observation 2, strength of 4, and a willpower of 3. And Wilson's starting equipment is the blunderbuss. It's an item, it's a weapon. When resolving a combat encounter, you may gain +2 strength. If you do, each 6 you roll when resolving a combat test during a combat encounter counts as 2 successes, and each 1 negates 1 success. So push-pull on him, but he's doing well. Wilson Richards, our next investigator. Our next investigator is Bob Jenkins, the salesman. According to Bob, the secret to success as a salesman is persistence. People just need to be told what it is they want, repeatedly. Recently, Bob came into possession of a handful of unusual golden coins, and Bob hopes that the same persistence he so famously advocates will help him to uncover their origin and purpose. His subsequent research taught him that the coins are rare and valuable, but also that some sort of curse is attached to them. Collectors refuse to touch them, but Bob is sold. He wants to know more. Bob starts, he basically has his action. You may trade any number of item or trinket possessions with another investigator on any space, wherever they are. When you perform an acquire assets action, reduce the value of each card in the reserve by 1 to a minimum of 1. His health is 7, his sanity is 5, his lore is 2, influence 4, observation 2, strength 3, and willpower 2. His starting weapon is the Winchester rifle, which is an item weapon. Once per round, you may gain +4 strength during a combat encounter, which is fantastic to really shoot those guys in the face. But our final investigator, which is Bob Jenkins, our great old one will be taking on as the almighty Cthulhu. Cthulhu will be starting, the Doom tracker will be set at 12. Cthulhu then has his cultist before resolving the strength test. Lose 1 sanity whenever you fight a cultist, but you just have to hit them once to be able to do it, but they do hit your sanity when you're going through. In setup, we set aside 1 deep 1 monster, 1 star spawn monster, and all Cthulhu special encounter cards, as well as the cultist, I believe, go into the bag for whenever we pull those, but the special encounter cards will be set to the side, and we'll get that set up. In the Mythos deck setup, we have no greens on stage 1, 2 yellows, 2 blues, and then as you can see, it builds up. So it's 4, 4, and 7 for the amount of cards that we'll have here to set up. And it says when an investigator moves onto a space containing an Eldritch token, they become delayed and loses 1 sanity. Delayed just means you basically pass your turn if you do that. Whenever we have the Reckoning symbol, each investigator in a C space that does not contain an Eldritch token places an Eldritch token on his space. So that's how they get put on there with the Reckoning. And when 3 mysteries have been solved, investigators win the game. When Cthulhu awakens or the Doom track reaches 0, flip this card to see what goes on. Aeons ago, Cthulhu came from the stars with his star spawn brethren. He now sleeps in the sunken city of Earlier, waiting for the stars to be right to rise again. And so whenever the reckoning happens, the symbol's here to just say that there's a reckoning symbol to do on here. And we'll be taking on the great Cthulhu, the madness from the sea, in this playthrough. We'll be playing 4-player on this playthrough. So since we're playing 4-player, there will be 1 gate spawn whenever we have the gate spawn symbol, 2 clues spawn whenever we see the clue spawn symbol, and 2 monsters on the monster surge symbol that we'll be playing through. So even if we lose investigators, we'll always be playing from the 4 investigator side of things going forward. All right, with the game fully set, with our stage set, with our great old one, as well as our investigator set in their lovely places in the world. So we have Kate in Buenos Aires, we have Mandy in Shanghai, we've got Bob in London, and we've got Wilson in Arkham that we'll be setting up. Now we just need to do the final setups of this board before we begin play into this big adventure of dealing with what's going on. We've got the Doom set at 12 for what we need to do. We need to first populate the board. Since it's here, we need to draw our first spawn gate. So we grab the spawn gate bag and all the spawns are in here. And we'll just reach around and pull out our first spawn gate. And let's see what our first spawn gate is. Our first spawn gate is going to be Rome. Rome is going to have the 1 gate spawn that's on, so we're going to add our gate spawn to Rome. We will take our gate spawn, put it on Rome. After that, we move to the next, which is clue spawning. So we're going to grab our clue spawn bag. Yes, there's 3 separate bags that you're going to have to maintain, and we're going to spawn 2 clues onto the board. So we're going to grab our 2 clues, 1 and 2, and let's see where these 2 clues are going to go. Our first clue will be spawned in Sydney, Australia. So we'll make sure to put that clue on the city location. And our second clue is going to be on spot 6 of the board. So we spawn our clue in Sydney, we spawn our clue there, and then we just need to summon 2 monsters to the board. So we grab the monster bag, give it a good shuffle. And we need to add the cultists in there just to make sure that we put them proper and mix them up good. So it's only the star spawn and the deep one that's set. And we're gonna grab our first, which is a ghoul, and our second monster, which is going to be a cultist. So let's take a look at our two monsters that's going to be starting on the board. Our ghoul here is going to flip over, and it says, when you fight him, if you lose health from a strength test, gain a paranoia condition. We'll have to test sanity, and then we have to do strength, block 2, and we just have to hit him once to kill him. So our ghoul will be spawning on top of the gate. Our next one that's going to be spawning is a lovely cultist, and this is one of, we'll have to check Cthulhu's sheet to see what to do with them, which we have before, but a cultist will be spawning there as well. So we've got our cultist set, the stage is set, we just need to fill the wonderful reserve with items after we've shuffled up the deck. There's a lot of pretty cool things in here, a lot of expensive things in here, but we'll see what we can do about getting them. So the reserve has been built. The stage has been set for the take on of Cthulhu. We've got the stages set, so stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3. So we'll be pulling from here as we go, and we'll just move out until we lose the game. And have to flip this over. If this hits 0, we lose the game. If not, it's just great. Also, the gate that spawned was one of those gates, and this is going to get placed on the top card of this deck. So let's just do a quick shuffle of this, and we should be set. So it looks like this is getting summoned in, let's see, this looks like Tunguska. Yes, this is Tunguska. So that's where it's going to first summon. That's Tunguska, right? Oh, no, it's Antarctica. It's going to be Antarctica. So Antarctica will be the first place that whatever this expedition is going to be stuck on. We have our dice set. We've got the stage set. And so this is where we're going to begin our scenario. So going forward, the next set of videos that we're going to get into is beginning our adventure, and each episode will be a round. Thanks everybody for this setup. I hope you enjoy this playthrough, and I love you. There's absolutely nothing you can do about it.